Well, this is a webinar on book launches. We call it Secrets of a Flawless Book Launch, and I want to welcome everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your busy indie author schedule to make some time to learn about book launches. Now, I'm Joel Friedlander from thebookdesigner.com and bookdesigntemplates.com, and we're presenting the webinar. But your presenter today is going to be Kimberly Gravis. Kimberly is a Canadian writer and the founder of yourwriterplatform.com. That's a site where she provides writers with resources, tools, and inspiration you need to build your platform, engage your fans, and sell more books. Now, Kim's got degrees in both business and psychology. That's a pretty good mix. She's also got over 14 years experience in sales and marketing, and Kim uses her unique mix of skills and experiences to help writers promote their work, build community engagement, and develop an online presence in a genuine and meaningful way, because that's the best way to do it. Okay, Kim, thanks very much for taking time to do this presentation. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Joel. So let me there we go. Did you want to mention this part first, Joel, before I get into it?
Hey, we've got a little surprise for you. Yeah, we didn't announce this in the registration or the invitations, but there's quite a few people on this webinar. At the end of the webinar, we're going to pick someone who's live on the webinar, and you will receive absolutely free from bookdesigntemplates.com a brand new iPad Mini 2. That's the one with the 7.9-inch Retina display, 16 gigs of storage, and an A7 processor. You know, I'd like to get myself one of these, but one of you lucky people is going to get chosen at the end of the webinar. So hang in there, and you're going to get a great presentation and also be entered in that drawing at the end. Okay, Kim. The other thing I want to say is if anybody is having trouble with sound or video, please get in touch with gotowebinar.com. Their customer support is very good, and they will help you out. Everything is working fine at this end, so probably the error is on your end. Okay, Kim, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Joel. All right, let's get started. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of this webinar training, we first need to determine if you're in the right place. So you are in the right place if you are ready to launch your first or current book, but have absolutely no idea where to start. Or you've launched your book, but haven't seen the results you were hoping for. Or you're currently writing your book and you want to be proactive in your launch planning, aka the teacher's pet. And in every case, you want to know how to confidently plan and execute a book launch that actually gets you real results. So what are you going to get out of this? You're spending an hour of your time today, so we want to ensure that you get a ton of value and not just a few quick tips that may or may not apply to your particular situation. So here's what's in it for you by taking the time to be here today. We'll take an in-depth look at the necessary elements required to pull off a successful book launch. You'll learn how revealing and understanding these secrets can give you a huge competitive edge and help build momentum for your current and future books. By the end of the webinar, you'll have the knowledge and the means to create a book launch action plan that gets real results, not only for established authors, but for new authors as well. And armed with this knowledge, you'll be able to keep fear and overwhelm from holding you back. So here's a quote from Henry Ford to keep in mind as we move through the material and you feel a little panic or self-doubt creeping in. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Now, some of you may know me, but just to give you a little more information about who it is you're sharing the hour with, I'll give you a bit more background on who I am and what I'm about. I'm Kimberly Gravis, and as Joel mentioned, I'm a Canadian writer, entrepreneur, and the founder of yourwriterplatform.com. I help a growing international community of thousands of rising entrepreneurs build a business around their writing while increasing their visibility, influence, and reach. I work individually with writers across all genres, fiction and nonfiction, traditionally published, self-published, or even not yet published, through my website, through coaching, and through one-on-one sessions. And I launched yourwriterplatform.com in February of 2013, and it's become a go-to resource for authors struggling to gain visibility in a crowded market. So now that you have a better idea of who I am, let's dive into what specifically we'll cover in today's training. So number one, the purpose of a book launch and why it's important. Number two, why most book launches fail and what you can do to avoid making these mistakes. Number three, the 6 essential elements of a flawless book launch. And number four, how you can develop your own customized step-by-step action plan for your next book launch. So here are a few reasons a well-orchestrated launch is important. If done well, a launch can create urgency, excitement, and unstoppable momentum for your book. It can also help you establish your brand, your message, and your presence on the web. A launch will build your business by increasing your email subscribers and social media followers. It will also expand your reach, your network, and possible partnership opportunities with other authors, groups, and organizations. Many authors struggle to find ways to promote and market their work, but your book itself is your marketing tool. You can use it to leverage multiple opportunities like podcast and media interviews, especially during your launch. And without question, a book launch is a celebration. You deserve to highlight this amazing achievement. If you fail to reward yourself or acknowledge a significant milestone in your career as a writer, it can be very disheartening. And remember, your enthusiasm for your new book is contagious, so spread it around. Carefully preparing, timing, and executing just the right mix of launch activities to propel your new book out into the world, it's no simple task. And although it may be difficult to nail down the exact return on investment you can expect to receive from your book launch, the real value is the attention you generate and the subsequent platform you build from your launch success. So try and think of each launch like a step in a staircase, each consecutive one elevating your visibility, your influence, and your career one level higher. So if a launch is so important, why do so many fail? Well, a launch needs to pack a punch. It needs to build excitement and anticipation to a fever pitch, and then on launch day, deliver on all the promises. And this doesn't happen by accident. Launches have a lot of moving parts, and they need to be carefully planned and orchestrated. 1 or 2 missteps in your launch will never get off the ground. And often, authors are so focused on writing and editing their new book to a shine, they postpone the hard work of mapping out a launch strategy until too late in the game, usually with extremely discouraging consequences. So let's quickly walk through some of the biggest culprits for book launch failures. Now, probably just grab a pen and a notebook and take some notes because we're going to be moving pretty quickly through this section. So number 1, refusal to collaborate and socialize. One of the most important things you can do before launching your book, even before you start writing it, is to engage your potential readership in the development process. The more invested people are in you and your writing, the higher the level they will place on your work, because they helped create it. Encouraging a social, community-oriented mindset builds trust and makes people feel that they are part of something special. Plus, their input will help you identify what matters most to them, the benefits they want your book to deliver, and even the launch strategy, like the messages and channels that will ensure your book gets traction. Number 2, rushing to get it out there. It's interesting that after spending months, sometimes years, writing your book, there comes a moment when a switch flips and getting your book into the hands of your readers becomes urgent. Sure, there should be an element of urgency, or you'd never get your book to market. But rushing inevitably leads to poor planning and lack of preparation. Things are missed, deadlines pass, and an author's stress levels hit the ceiling. So instead, start your planning process early, ideally while you're still writing or editing. If you are self-publishing, give yourself a little wiggle room when you set your publication date. Have your author website or book landing page ready and functional. Make sure it's not only easy for people to buy your book, but easy for them to share the information with their friends. And remember to be aware of your time constraints as you plan. You won't become superhuman during your launch phase, so allow time in your scheduling and plans for other priorities in your life. Number 3, forgetting to set specific or any goals or objectives. It's very difficult to determine whether you've reached your goals during your launch campaign if you've never outlined any goals or objectives to begin with. Taking action is fantastic, but you always need to have a direction or a destination in mind so that you can tell whether you've met or exceeded your expectations, or if you've slid completely off track. Be careful that the goals you set will actually help you achieve the results you desire. Specific goals, like the number of books you'd like to sell on launch day, the number of people you'd like to add to your email list, or the number of people you want to attend your launch day webinar, make it easier to determine if you were successful at achieving that goal. A goal like, I want to increase my authority, needs to be broken down into more precise objectives, like during my launch period, I will write 4 guest posts on influential sites in my genre. I will give 5 podcast radio interviews on topics related to my book, or maybe I'll interview 1 influential author or industry expert for my own author website, and maybe I'll create a free PDF guide on a compelling topic in my genre or related to my book. Keep in mind that this book and launch are also part of a bigger plan for your writing career. What do you want this launch to accomplish that will help the next book and launch? Number 4, having no idea who you are trying to reach. This one can be, and often is, fatal. Not knowing or fully understanding your target audience or what they value can cripple your launch before it even has a chance to get off the ground. How do you hit a target you don't even see? Often authors will have no clue as to the intended audience for the book, which guarantees the launch campaign is unfocused, aimed at the wrong audience, or the message is too general or diffuse to be meaningful. When you're struggling to build a platform and a readership for your work, the thought of excluding or alienating anybody who might possibly be interested in your work, well, it's terrifying. You want more readers, not less. Why exclude anybody? But the reality is that the more specific you are about the people you are trying to reach, that is, the people who will really get you and your work, the more appealing your offer and the more engaging your conversation with your ideal audience becomes. Number 5, being the lone wolf. It takes a village. I'm not sure if statistically speaking there are actually a larger number of introverted writers than extroverts, but the stereotype remains: great writing happens in quiet seclusion. The muse arrives and the good stuff flows only when you've locked yourself in a room with the story as your only sustenance. But because writing is not thought of as a group sport, many soon-to-be authors have drawn the solitary act of writing their book into their promotional efforts as well. However, the most successful authors have used the power of the group to increase their sales. From box sets to multi-author buying events, they've leveraged their followings to cross-promote to their readers, multiplying their impact as a result. In fact, there are many benefits of author collaboration, like increasing visibility, the pooling of resources, and opportunities for jointly created books and other creative projects. Reach out and start making connections early so that relationships have time to develop and clever ideas for joint ventures during your launch can be fleshed out. Number 6, lacking an understanding of your market. Don't look now, but your lack of market knowledge is showing. A lack of current market information makes it nearly impossible to make appropriate decisions on your launch action plan or any other marketing choices. You must use facts to make good decisions. You must be acutely aware of what other authors in your niche or genre are doing right and wrong, the changes, trends, and direction the market is moving in, as well as any holes where opportunity might exist. Tackling too broad a market is often a problem because once you look inside a big market, you'll find an incredible amount of diversity, different types of readers, different needs, and different pain points. So to build a stronger launch plan and consume less resources in terms of time and money, you need to focus on building an insanely deep connection with a small group of people rather than a hesitant and weak connection with many. Not only does what you learn from a hyper-focused market help you make smarter decisions about your book's potential in other markets, it reduces your risk of missing the mark on launch day. So do your research, get belly to belly with your ideal reader, gently stalk authors with comparable books, and keep abreast of the latest industry info and happenings. All right, now number 7, looking for a shortcut or expecting a miracle. There are some shortcuts that actually, let's go this. Striving for success without hard work is like trying to harvest where you haven't planted. David Bly. There are some shortcuts that you might look for. Those that free up time, money, and allow you to grow your writing career. Most often, these come in the form of automation or systems. Other shortcuts, however, are just going to cause you problems. Be careful that your definition of a successful book launch isn't skewed. Expecting a bestseller or an instant hit, especially with your first book or with part-time effort, may not be realistic. Writers lose focus because they're looking for short-term gain instead of looking for long-term growth for their careers. So the first thing you have to accept is that you are building a business around your writing, and your priority should always be focused on results over the long term. There's no such thing as an overnight success. Stick with launch methods that you can expect real results from, not gimmicks or aggressive tactics that burn bridges. An effective book launch should give you a boost, but it should also tie into a long-term campaign that seeks to earn a living and a fan base over years, not weeks or months. Success is earned, and it's more often than not played over the long game. So number 8 now, assuming book launches are only for big name authors or people with deep pockets. So that might work for author X, but it won't work for me. Get rid of the idea that you only have a specific set of skills and talents for specific tasks, or there is some sort of exclusive club for successful authors that you're just not a part of. A successful launch doesn't require heaps of cash, a huge network, or a secret handshake. If you have a well-planned launch with clear goals and objectives that you expect to achieve, your launch may be dramatically more effective and fruitful than a well-financed but unfocused one. Self-imposed limitations will only hold you back, so stretch your imagination instead of trying to justify why something won't work. Don't fail to step up to the plate or allow yourself to be held back by circumstance. When you're about to start making excuses for why your launch can't be as rewarding as the next author, just stop and reignite the spark that started you on this path in the first place. Number 9. You're enveloped in an author identity crisis. So you have right now one of the most potent and persuasive means to make your book launch stand out. Do you know what it is? It's you. Self-knowledge is a very powerful tool, and knowing who you are, what you're about, and why you do what you do can provide a significant and compelling way to break through the noise. How you position and differentiate yourself and your book can make all the difference in swaying readers to buy. In fact, when you discover and build on what makes you different, you eliminate your competition. who can be more you than you, right? So spend some time getting to know yourself and the reasons you write what you write. Use this insight to style your launch. Infuse your personality and message into every piece of content you share, and your uniqueness will give you your competitive edge. Number 10, having no clue what to say. This is a big one. When I see authors struggling with this during their launch, I know that they are struggling with knowing their audience and knowing themselves. When you can clearly articulate who you are and what you can bring to the table, as well as how that meets the needs, wants, and desires of your ideal reader, the conversation always flows. Think of it this way. Do you ever dread meeting up with a good friend for fear of not having anything to talk about? Or when speaking with someone about an interest you're both passionate about, does the conversation ever get stymied or awkward? No. When you have a deep understanding of a person or share a common interest, the interchanges are often deep and rewarding, and running out of time is more likely than running out of things to talk about. If you shrink at the thought of being a smarmy salesperson shouting, "Buy my book," throughout your launch period, then take a step back and get to know your target audience better. What are they begging to hear from you? What do they want that only you can provide? If you're not sure, ask and listen carefully to what they tell you. Then plan launch content that addresses their biggest fears, hopes, and desires, and share it freely without expecting anything in return. When you build this foundation, people are often more than happy to support you when the time comes. All right, number 11, convinced it's not worth the effort or you've already missed the boat. Yes, to expect defeat is 9/10 of defeat itself. Henry Mencken. Everything you've read about planning and executing a successful book launch has warned you that you should start early. But what if you already have your book in hand, or your release date is 2 weeks, 1 week, or 1 day from now? What do you do when there is no time to plan, or you focus on writing and have no platform or fan base to speak of? Or perhaps what you've heard from those brave authors who've gone before you is that a book launch sounds good in theory, but inevitably ends up being a colossal waste of time, effort, and money, with little to show in the way of results. What then? Well, first, don't give up too quickly. Just because things get uncomfortable, overcoming the challenges will bring you closer to your goals. So focus your efforts on what you can do. If your book is already out, leverage it to build your platform for your next book launch. There are many opportunities that arise for published authors, speaking engagements, podcast interviews, local media spots, and other events where having authored a book gives you the credibility and the qualifications to participate. If you're self-publishing, you can even consider moving the release date so that you can give yourself the time you need to make plans and build connections. You can also consider relaunching your book to give it a boost and build momentum for future projects. Your book is an asset, even without a big splashy launch. Just adjust your goals and expectations and keep moving forward. Okay, number 12, entertaining the belief that your genius should be obvious. Assuming your book will sell on its own merits without you having to lift a promotional finger will most likely lead to disappointment. Again, it's your responsibility to make it abundantly clear to your intended audience why your book is relevant. Nobody cares about you or your book as much as you do yet. So it's your job to help them see its value. No amount of literary genius will compensate for a book that goes unnoticed and unseen. In fact, if your book is that necessary, you are actually doing your readers a disservice by not making them aware of its existence. So accept that it is not someone else's responsibility to get your book into the hands of readers. Hold yourself accountable for your own career and develop a launch action plan that ensures your brilliance gets discovered. Number 13, failure to ride the wave. It's tempting to take a much needed break after all the excitement and hoopla, and you should take time to celebrate. You've just launched your book to the world. But having a plan in place to leverage your launch momentum, to follow up with new opportunities, and to analyze and measure the results of your launch is critical. Don't be tempted to pull back. Use the energy and buzz you've generated to open even more doors. Note what worked well, what didn't, and take the time to personally thank everyone who contributed to or supported your launch in some way. Their help was no doubt indispensable. And finally, it's not the launch, but the book that fails. We can't really complete a list of launch missteps without mentioning the obvious deal breaker. If your book is subpar, no amount of launch razzle-dazzle is going to help. If there are quality issues with your cover design, your editing, your layout, or even the story itself, you are much better off delaying your launch until you can deliver the highest quality book you can muster. Be careful not to get stuck perfecting your book. When the time is right, you still want to be able to pull the trigger, but a high quality professional debut will only work in your favor, with a well-planned launch helping you take it to the next level. All right, so now that we've nailed down what not to do, let's take a look at those things that every successful launch has in common. These are the 6 essential elements of a flawless book launch, and we'll discuss each of these in greater detail in just a moment. So, number 1, define your launch objectives. Number 2, get clear on your messaging and positioning. Number 3, take inventory. Number 4, make them an offer they can't refuse. Number 5, gather your A team. And number 6, the launch plan. Now, what do you notice when you look at this list of launch to-dos? There's a bunch of steps to take before you tackle your launch plan, right? This is where many authors get messed up because they skip to step 6 in the process and then they get completely overwhelmed. So I won't be able to see you, but if any of these hit home for you, raise your hand. You have lots of expectations, but no specific objectives for your launch. You're clear or unclear about your signature story or your message and how to articulate your difference from other authors in your genre. You have limited assets like an author website, email list, social media following, and so on. And what you do have are underused or undervalued. And even if you're offered an opportunity to speak or to share, you'd have no idea what to say. And finally, if you miss opportunities to leverage the support of super fans and willing partners. And those authors who know how to work through steps 1 through 5 first have an unfair advantage over those that don't. So let's go a bit deeper into each of these so that you can start applying this to your upcoming or future book launches. All right, number 1, define your launch objectives. It's impossible to define success without first defining what you want to achieve. Do you want to increase visibility and awareness, gain authority, increase influence, maybe have a bestseller, grow your platform, or extend your reach? Try and take a step back and get a bird's eye view of this book launch and its relation to your overall career path. Ask yourself, what does success look like for this launch? What do I want to accomplish? And how will I determine whether I've achieved what I set out to do? How will I track and measure my results? So for an example, although many authors may say their goal for their book launch is to sell lots of books, this isn't very useful. It's not measurable. How do you determine lots? Is it 100 books sold? 1,000, 10,000? And what is your real objective in selling lots of books? Is it a livable income so you can quit your day job? To spread an idea? To help or entertain as many people as possible? Hopefully, this won't be the only launch in your writing career, so consider each launch as a small piece in a bigger picture. Are your goals for this book launch in line with the goals you have for your overall writing career? Where do you see your writing career 5, 10 years from now? Work backwards from that point and loosely plan out a path to get there. One launch probably won't get you there. So leverage this and every launch to put you in a better position to reach your ultimate objective. All right, so 2, get clear on your message and positioning. The basis of this is what you want to say, who you want to say it to, and why they should care. So the first thing to tackle is mastering your message. When you connect to your purpose and can articulate clearly and succinctly what you have to offer, your ideal audience will respond. So focus on your strengths, passions, and goals. Discover who you are and what you want to do. Outline your unique areas of advantage or value and clarify what makes you and your work different. Any successful book launch needs to have a clear message that is consistently articulated. Your story is what people will connect with on an emotional level. One of the best strategies to quickly establish credibility, get known, and differentiate yourself is to share your why. So attach your launch to a bigger story and give people a reason to care. Okay, shape your unique brand. Writers often balk at the idea of branding themselves or their work. It just feels so corporate. But if done right, your author brand should extend naturally and organically from your message. It's how people will identify and relate to you, and it lets them know what they can expect from you and your work. Your brand stems from who you are, how you want to be known, and who people perceive you to be. When crafting your unique author brand, carefully consider the following. What's your brand story? What do you want people to feel? What experience do you want to create for them? How do you want to be known? What words, ideas, or concepts and feelings do you want people to associate with you? What mood or immediate impression do you want to evoke? Use what you've discovered about yourself to create an authentic brand personality. Know your audience. Now that you've identified and you can express your special sauce and the why behind your work, it's much easier to identify the group of people who will be most receptive to your message. Who are you writing for? You can't develop a launch plan for an audience you've yet to identify. The deeper your understanding of your readers' fears, needs, desires, the better. Where they are, what they need, and what are they searching for. You can know their demographic information, why they need your book, who influences them, what types of media do they consume, and any other information that is relevant. As you gather more and more information about your audience, be careful to stay connected to your reasons for sharing your work and focus on only those topics that are relevant to the community you're building. Don't try to win over those who are not already inclined to be receptive to your work. Uncover that group of potential readers who already speak your language. Now, do your research. Aside from taking the time to really get to know your readers, sometimes the best way to take your launch planning to the next level is by gaining a deep understanding of what other writers are doing well, what opportunities are being missed, and what your readers really crave. Much of what you need to know about your readers, the market, what works and what doesn't, it's already out there. You just need to know where to look. So eliminate the noise and focus on those elements that can give you an edge. In most cases, your competitors won't take the time to do this. Okay, so number 3, take inventory. So after you are clear on what you want to accomplish in your book launch, it's time to take inventory of your launch assets. So your launch assets include things like your author website or blog, your email list, your social media followers, influencer and advocate lists, partnerships, video, audio, marketing materials, and any other assets you have at your disposal for your launch. And as I mentioned earlier, don't undervalue your assets. Even a small email list of 20 to 50 interested readers can yield big results when it comes to helping you get the word out about your book. Often, it's these early adopters that turn out to be your biggest supporters. Leverage the tools available. Love it or hate it, technology has leveled the playing field. And authors are becoming more and more adept at using technology and tools to carry out the career author's to-do list, which includes many of the assets mentioned above, like your blog and email lists and so on. But a critical factor that is often missed when striving to check all the boxes is this. It's not the tools, but the implementation that matters. So you can have everything in place to launch your book, but still fail miserably. Why? Because a powerful launch is more than just the sum of its parts. If done right, there's a synergy between the tools you choose to use, how you implement them, and the intention behind it all. Okay, so make them an offer they can't refuse. To create stellar content that people will actually care about, you need to have a clear vision for why you are developing the content in the first place and an in-depth understanding of the people you wish to consume it. So for your content strategy, a content strategy is your publishing plan of action for what to create. So on your homepage, landing pages, sales pages, book descriptions, blog posts, emails, social media updates, and so on. It's also how to create it, which might include guides, interviews, tutorials, infographics, curated content, videos, or even written articles. It's when to create it, so your launch publishing schedule or your content calendar. And finally, for whom to create it, which is your ideal reader. A hard truth, people don't care about your book. They care about what your book will do for them. So focus on creating launch content that adds value, not pushes your book. All right, number 5, gather your A-team. Hobnobbing and elbow rubbing are not the sort of activities that solitary creatives typically engage in willingly. But if you prefer to stay tucked safely behind your computer with a hot cup of tea and a decent supply of chocolate, we have some unsettling news. Avoiding networking will not lessen its importance to your career. Gone are the days of the lonely, introverted writer. Connections are critical, and incorporating networking into your launch planning is a must. To survive, writers need to have a shift in mindset. The goal of networking is not to pitch an agent, hawk your book, or have someone you hardly know do you a favor. It's simply to have a conversation. Go into it with a what can I do for them approach rather than what can they do for me. Networking feels icky and uncomfortable when you have a hidden agenda or when you're not being authentic. So start building relationships now that will earn you goodwill before your launch date. Street team and super fans, your supporters and avid fans. Find your evangelists and give them extra special attention and care. Help them tell the story. Create resources, pre-written blog posts, images, videos, quotes, data, whatever you can to get your team excited. Create an insider's list and give them advanced review copies of your book. Get feedback on content and encourage them to get invested in your project. Build loyalty, trust, and a connection with your newly forming community and in all your interactions with them. Focus on creating a kinship of connected, interested, and highly engaged admirers. Then, when it comes time to promote your new book, you'll have both devoted customers and an eager promotional team ready to spread the word. And finally, number 6, the launch plan. Your launch plan is your blueprint to your entire book launch. It combines the tasks involved and, more importantly, the sequence of events in your launch. Your launch plan should include the tools you use and implemented in the right way, the tasks you'll complete, and day-by-day plans for the release of content during your launch. There's so many details in a good book launch that you need a script to follow. So the secret to pulling off a successful launch is to clarify what you need to do, when you need to do it, and how to get it all done. You'll need to focus on evergreen strategies like what we've just discussed, and not tricks and gimmicks. And ideally, you need a customizable launch plan that works specifically for this book, but uses the same principles that can be used, built upon, and customized for subsequent book launches as well. Feeling a little overwhelmed? Well, you can figure all this out for yourself based on the guidelines and training I've provided in this webinar, or you can let Joel and I help. So now we'll have Joel come back and he'll explain a little bit more about what we have to offer.
Yeah, well, Kim, that was a fantastic run through. Thank you so much. When we looked at the problems, and I've been through many book launches myself, I started publishing books in 1986. When we looked at what indie authors were confronting, trying to put together their own book launch and do all this research and work, we decided there was a real opportunity to help authors put this material together.
Mm-hmm.
And so together, Kim and I have put together a product called the Book Launch Toolkit that really is totally designed to help indie authors put together their own book launch. And I want to tell you, a lot of people have been asking questions about the cost of this, and I know that there are a lot of kind of trainings and products out there, and I've seen a number of things about book launches recently, some of them costing thousands of dollars just to teach you how to launch a book. Hey, look, I don't think you need to spend that kind of money to learn how to do a book launch. So what I've done is put my 30 years of experience in book publishing into this product. And it's brand new. We just finished it this morning. I'm not kidding about that.
Yeah.
And it's being offered for the very first time today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through what the Book Launch Toolkit is and what's in it. And then at the end of that, we're going to have that drawing for that iPad. So hold on to your seats. So what's involved here is a lot of training, worksheets, checklists, and the kind of tools that you would need to put together and run a book launch that's not going to drive you crazy, make you tear your hair out, or just quit in frustration. Let's look at the next slide, Kim. Okay, now we've circulated the Book Launch Toolkit in its beta phase, not nearly as good as the finished product, around to a number of indie authors and publishing professionals, and we have gotten fantastic feedback, which you can see on your screen right now. And, it really makes me feel like, hey, I'm on the right track. And I particularly love that one from Martin Turnbull, who is a best-selling author. And, he was very enthusiastic about it. What do we got next, Kim? Okay, so let's walk through what exactly is the Book Launch Toolkit and what's in it. The core and the heart of this is a 103-page PDF guide. And in the guide, it's got a very long section on how to build your platform. And Kim, I thought it was very interesting that many of the questions I was getting during your presentation were, how do I find my audience? How do I build my email list? How do I identify the right readers?
Yeah,
So this is Kim's, this is her expertise.
yeah, that's true. And I get the same thing, Joel, I would say probably 2 to 3 emails every single day where writers are asking me exactly that. And one of the biggest things is having all this ready, having it done ahead of time before they dive into the launch process. So it's a matter of catch up kind of thing. So something like this is really helpful because it does provide that catch up, that sort of, I don't want to call it a shortcut because it's still a lot of work, but it's definitely the shorter path to get from point A to point B, what we've set up here. Did you just want me to continue, Joel? All right, well, I'm not sure if Joel is what's happened to his sound, but basically this is what else is you'll find in the book launch toolkit. So there's a 100 plus page PDF guide and 20 launch tools. There's a complete guide to building your author platform, which is like Joel said, it's sort of my expertise and it's what I've lived and breathed for the last couple of years, and it's what I share with authors every single day. We've also got an overview of the launch process and a detailed timeline of launch tasks. We've got actually a really good feature. It's a way to help you create a custom launch plan. And then there's 12 worksheets and checklists to keep you on track. Okay, and here's even more of what's in the book launch toolkit. So you can see it's very comprehensive. We've tried to go through each and every tool that you could possibly use, but more potentially use. Not every single tool needs to be included in every launch plan. In fact, you can pick and choose maybe 2, 3, or 4 tools and just stick with that as opposed to having to incorporate too many things and then not do anything at the level or at the quality that you want to do. So something like choosing say a media kit, and perhaps you want an email campaign and a social media campaign and maybe one other thing, and then that's your entire launch plan, then that's something that you can do with this kit. You can kind of mix and match. And here's some more. These are the worksheets. So you can see again, this is very comprehensive. We've got everything from the launch process overview, the platform development process, worksheets for guest posting campaigns so you can keep track of everything, your review campaign worksheets so you can keep track of the reviews that you're requesting and the reviews that have come in, things like an interview and media campaign worksheet so you can keep track of that, targeted blog tour, network and connections. That's an important one too, to keep track of every time you make a connection. Then you've got it in one place where you can note who you've connected, where you've made the connection, and the relevance to the rest of the launch. Contests and giveaways worksheets, additional book launch ideas worksheets. So all the things that are covered in the tools section, we've got even more ideas of how to or additional book launch ideas to work through. So for those that are super keen and you don't have enough on your plate already, that's even more ideas to get the most bang for your buck out of your launch. And then, of course, oh, Joel, are you back on?
Yeah, sorry about that. I
Oh,
hope my connection stays stable here.
okay.
But thanks for picking that up. If I drop out again, you'll have to do it again. But I just wanted to come in to mention the fact that we did something really unusual with these worksheets. And I don't know if you mentioned this,
Nope, not yet.
but we decided that some people like to use spreadsheets to organize themselves. Some people like to use Microsoft Word, and some people like to print them out and put them on a clipboard or next to them on their desk. So what we've done is we've actually created all of these worksheets in all 3 formats. So you pick Excel or Word or PDF and print them out, whatever works best for you.
Mhm.
Next.
Oh, the lean launch plan. Should I go through that, Joel?
Yeah, please, Kim.
All right. So having a ready-made fan base will significantly increase the odds that your book launch will be successful and that the goals you've set for yourself and your book will be reached or surpassed. But I'm sure at least some of you are wondering, what if I don't have all this stuff in place? So the launch of your book is imminent, but you have no platform or community in sight. Then what? Well, with a book in hand or nearly so, and no time for the long-term, slow and steady platform building approach, what's a panicked author to do? What options do you have to promote your new book and give it the best start if your platform is not already established and you don't have a mailing list of thousands and your social media following is less than robust? Well, we've got you covered. There are several ways that you can get the word out about your book without depending heavily on a platform or existing relationships. We outlined 14 of these in the Book Launch Toolkit. So here are a few examples. Building a book landing page, hosting webinars like we're doing now, using your book as a marketing tool, or harnessing the power of Amazon algorithms. And, oh, Joel, you want to go through this part? Oh, I think we may have lost Joel again. Okay, so I'll go through this part as well until maybe Joel will get back on. One of the most fantastic features, I think, of the Book Launch Toolkit.
I can.
Oh, good. You're back?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, this is a little magic we created here with the help of Tracy, who's our word ninja. And what you're looking at here is what we call the custom launch plan. And this is a document that comes with the Book Launch Toolkit. It's a Microsoft Word document. And if you have Microsoft Word 2013 or later, this is going to create a custom launch plan just using the tools that you're going to use in your launch. And the way that works is, step one, you open this document and you'll see that all of the 20 tools in the toolkit are present. So you just figure out which ones you want. Let's see the next slide, Kim. Step two is you just, starting at the bottom of the list, you just click the arrow to open up each of the tools that you're planning on using. Like if you're going to have a book launch party, you click that triangle and open up that tool. Step three, you'll see that when you open the tool, it puts up a list of tasks that are already organized for you in a timeline. So you don't have to guess about when you should be doing this, what order you should be doing things in, or what you have to do before you do something else. The whole form fills that out for you. Step four is you just keep doing that. You just keep opening up the particular tasks that you want to use in your particular launch. At the end, I think we have one more slide on this. Mm-hmm. At the end, what you're going to have, and here's a sample where the user has opened up 3 different tools, and this is going to create a great combined launch plan, schedule, and calendar of activities for you. And this particular tool is so valuable, it probably would justify the cost of this entire program. I'm very excited about making this available to people. It's something I've been thinking about for a long time. Next. Now, we've also included, and this is something that many people asked about during your presentation, Kim, how do I build my email list? Well, you know, that's kind of outside the topic of launching your book. You need to have an email list before you start planning your launch. So what we've done is we've added in a 40-page PDF by Kim on exactly that, how to build your email list, how to do it the right way, how to do it without being spammy, without turning people off, and also making sure that you're actually finding the right people. Somebody wrote in and said, you know, they have an email list, but nobody ever responds. Well, the problem is you've got the wrong people probably on your list. And the email list building for writers guide is going to solve that problem. It's going to give you a whole education on how to build an email list. The retail value of this is $57, but in reality, it's priceless.
Mhm.
We also have a really cool short PDF for you on how to produce your advanced reader copies, what they should look like, what you should say on them, what you should never put on them. And then we're also offering today for anybody who buys the Book Launch Toolkit a $40 discount coupon you can use to get our Media Kit template product, which is extremely popular and will put, cut down the amount of time it takes you to create a really killer media kit that you can host on your book website. And that's really going to help you when you get to the point you want to interest journalists, writers, bloggers, show presenters, anybody you need to communicate with about who you are and what you do. You could just point them to your media kit. Really, really great. Now, if you add that all up, that's $114 worth of products. We're giving it to you for absolutely nothing. Let's see what's on the next slide, Kim. Well, here's some more beta testers. Sharon Goldinger is an old friend of mine and a very highly experienced marketer and editor. She said the toolkit's a masterpiece of marketing advice that will help you and your book be successful, and every book author and publisher needs this toolkit. And no, I didn't pay her a penny to say that. She's a pretty tough cookie, Sharon. She would not have endorsed it if she didn't believe every word she wrote. Next. All right, so let's just go over the whole thing. We've got the PDF guide, 103 pages with 20 different tools, the strategies, the tips, resources, walking you through each one of these. Then we've got the great worksheets, checklists, the custom Launchpad, Microsoft Word document, plus our 3 great bonuses on email list building, creating your ARC copies for reviewers and early readers and testimonials, and that great coupon. If you don't own our media kit, you're going to get it at a drastically reduced price. Now, we've priced this whole thing at $97. And I want to tell you that the only negative feedback I've received so far from professionals in the publishing industry is they're telling me, Joel, how can you sell that so cheap? But, look, I am an indie author myself. I know this community. I don't, like I said, I don't think you have to spend thousands or even hundreds of dollars to get this information. So I want to make it available to you for $97. But because it's a brand new product, for the rest of this week until the 22nd, we're going to make this whole package, including all the bonuses, available to you for $67. Now, and the whole product is permanently guaranteed. If you don't like it, if you think it wasn't worth the money, you just tell us and we will refund your money. So let's look at the last slide. So here's the deal. You can get the Book Launch Toolkit, all the strategies, all the tips, all the fruits of years of doing this. It's loaded with resource links, strategies, and things you can do to run a great book launch. You get all the worksheets so you can keep track of everything. You get the launch plan, the custom planner, and those great bonuses for $67. My suggestion would be that you go over to the sales page right now where all of this is explained in detail and check it out yourself. The offer will expire June 22nd at midnight, and you can see the URL on the screen there. As we speak. Now, we've got a lot of questions. I just want to make a note that we announced this as a 1-hour webinar. We've been on for exactly 1 hour. You've heard the entire webinar, plus about our great new product, the Book Launch Toolkit. I'm going to attempt to answer more questions. I just want to say that thank you for coming. If you guys want to stick around while we answer questions, that would be great. And I'm going to say this right now. Now, Kim, here's a question from Barbara.
Okay.
She asked, when I have a launch on my website, what do I put on my website to help my launch?
Oh, well, there's a lot of things that you can do that are that will be helpful. The biggest thing I think is that when it's for your launch, that you do things that it's not all about you, but what it will be or how it will benefit your readers. So you've got to keep that in mind when you tailor anything, even if it's on your own blog or your own website. You want to still tailor everything, the content and the benefit to the reader. So there's depending on what kind of site she has, but you can have something in your sidebar. You can have if you've got a slider or a kind of a section at the top of your website, you can announce it there. You can do blog posts that sort of lead up and tease up to the moment of your launch. There's actually tons of things that you can do. And it would just depend on what she knows about her readers and what they kind of expect from her. If up until this point there was never anything even remotely promotional or even a mention of a book, it would be not ideal to go, super promotion mode. But if it's something that she's been sort of leading up to for a while, then you can have, there's lots of different areas that you can utilize to get some attention for your upcoming launch.
Okay, and we have a winner in the drawing for the iPad mini.
Ooh, exciting.
We're going to need you to get in touch with us so we can get your shipping address, and I'll give you an email address to do that. But we had a random drawing of all attendees, and the winner was Joy Howe. Joy Howe, Howe. So congratulations, Joy.
Congratulations, Joy.
And I'm going to give you an address to send in your information, and that is in the chat box. And let's go back to our questions. Congratulations, Joy. I hope you enjoy that iPad. It looks really cool.
It does.
Okay, let's see. Here's another one. I'm a new author. What strategy should I use if a book has already been launched and the sales are poor? I'm on social media, but I'm not sure what to do to spark interest, and I have a limited budget.
Yeah. All right. For me, what I would do is consider planning a relaunch, right? Because if there's very few people, that's one of the best things and the worst things about getting absolutely no traction or no visibility for your book is that you have no traction and no visibility for your book, right? So nobody is going to know, or very few people are going to realize that it wasn't recently published, or that it's not, that the big fanfare can't happen, a week or a month or whatever after your release date. So you can make a big deal about it again if you want to do some of the planning that we've been talking about here today on the webinar, where you basically start from where you're at and then start adding in, building your list, building your connections, building up that network, so that when you re-release, or not re-release, but relaunch your book, you can maybe then get the traction that you were hoping for the first time around.
Okay. Here we have a question. These are a couple of technical questions I'm going to deal with here. Are these spreadsheets already compiled on a specific software? They're in Microsoft Excel format. A lot of people asking about earlier versions of Word. All of our products are designed to work on virtually every version of Word out there. The only exception is the custom launch plan document. And that will work in any version of Word, but you won't get that ability to open and close specific parts of it and create a combined list. You need to have Word 2013 or newer to use just that one function. But we have a complete launch plan with all the tasks in the PDF guide, so you can always use that, or you can use the document to print out your own version if you like. But you can't get that customization. Everything else and that document all work on any version of Word. Okay, more questions. These are all about the, what if your book was launched already, Kim? You have any thoughts on that?
Yep, I just actually answered one like that. So if it's launched already and you didn't get the traction or the recognition, the hoopla that you wanted to, then what you can do is consider relaunching. Another option, which might work just as well or better if you don't want to go through and plan out another whole launch is consider using your book, and I had mentioned it earlier, as the leverage or the credibility to get on podcasts, to start building your platform in that way. Lots of times you can use your book itself. Like you can't necessarily speak at a conference unless you are a published author. Sometimes you can't, do other certain things, and maybe podcasts, radio shows, local media even. Once you have the recognition or the status, I guess, as a published author, that can open a lot of doors, and you really need to take advantage of that, because even though the launch may not have been too big of a deal or too splashy, the book itself is a huge asset to help you build the network and the platform that you'll need for future launches.
Great. Here's another question. This was a good one also. Is this evergreen information or will it be updated? If so, how long does the customer have access to material? Okay, well, this is a digital product. It's completely accurate as of today. When you buy the toolkit, you will actually download the entire thing and you will take complete ownership of it. You will own it forever. You can use it over and over again. You're free to do with it as you like. I expect that we will update it as time goes along, and we will think seriously about offering those updates to all previous buyers of the toolkit, and I will let you know about that, but that's usually the kind of thing that we do. Okay, somebody said, where can I get it? Okay, you can get it at the link that's showing on your screen. And that's it'll take you right to the page where it explains all about the toolkit, everything that's in it, and there's a buy link right on that page. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's something that I would have loved to have myself. When I paid $67 for this information a few years ago when I first started launching books, you bet I would. Are you kidding? It takes weeks to find all this information out. I want to tell you that Kim and I have spent the last 4 months just writing this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as up to date as we can make it. It has a huge amount of advice, tips, strategies, and tactics, and it would save any author a huge amount of time and frustration trying to put this material together for themselves. And that's without all the supplemental material like those worksheets and checklists, which everybody has to kind of make up themselves on your own. You just got to, like start from scratch. Yeah. That's a bummer. I've been there. I've done that. I don't want to do it anymore. And I don't want you to have to do it. And that's why we put this product together. Yeah. So I think it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, we made it as inexpensive as we possibly could. I don't think there's a better way to spend $67 if you're within a year of launching a book.
Yeah, and the other thing to note, Joel,
yeah, go ahead, Kim.
It's also it's a mini guide for other things too. Like for example, there's the whole section on building your writer platform. I get a lot of email about that kind of stuff, but you kind of have to have some of the basics down before you start. And like I had mentioned in the webinar, a lot of authors jump to, okay, well, how do I plan things without having the foundation first? And one of the great things about this toolkit is you get the foundation, not just on building a platform, but also each one of the tools gives you the why, for why you would even attempt such a thing, why you would implement this particular tool, or why you would choose this one to add into your launch plan. So it gives you a lot more perspective and foundation so that you can make better choices when it comes down to planning out your launch plan for your book.
Okay, I had a question about whether the toolkit was all digital and are the lists in print form? Yes, when you purchase the book launch toolkit, you're going to get a download. It's going to download to your computer. It's going to be a zip file, and you'll just double-click the file, and it'll open up. And inside the file, you'll have all the forms, the PDF guide, and all that stuff that you need. Now, we've tried to make it easy to print out, both the PDF guide and all the worksheets, which we also have as PDFs, will print really well on any type of device. So if you're the kind of person who likes working with a pen or a pencil and paper and checking things off and making notes while you're doing research, I do that a lot personally. I still use composition books, to be honest with you. But you can then print out any aspect of this entire product, any of the worksheets, any of the checklists, any parts of the guide, any of it. You could just print them out and use it as a physical product. Up to you. So we've given you the ability to do both. Now did have some questions on other topics, like some people asked if we could, is there information on how to start a blog? Is there information on launching a website? No, not really. We don't deal with that because that's kind of a different topic. In this product, what we're doing is totally focusing on your platform and your book launch, period. That's it. So nothing about, autoresponders or building websites or, running book promotions. Okay. Yeah, here's questions more. Yes, it is thank you, Suzanne. It is a fabulous price. I agree. The midnight on the 22nd is midnight Pacific time. Somebody asked that. And let's see. Can we share this link with our friends? Yes, you can share this link in social media. You can share it with your friends. This is a special promotional price. It's only going to last until June 22nd at midnight Pacific time, at which time the price will go back up to $97. And, it seems to me like that's a good reason to buy it now. Let's see. Raffle, we did the raffle. Joy Howe won. I think we've covered that. Joy Howe won for the people who asked. The giveaway already happened. All right, so I don't want to keep everybody longer than you want. There are a bunch more questions. And if you have more questions that didn't get answered and you want to know the answers, I'm going to give you an email address right now, and you can send your questions there, and we will make sure they all get answered. It's support@bookdesigntemplates.com. I just put that into the question box. I'll also put it in the chat box, and happy to answer any questions. Okay, so now you've got the link for support, you've got the link for the sales page. I think we could take a couple of more minutes to see if there are any good questions in here. A lot of questions about how to find my audience. I'm just going to say that if you buy the product, you're going to get that fantastic bonus from Kim, her 40-page document that walks you step by step through how a writer builds the right kind of email list. And, I've been doing this stuff for a long time. I mentioned that I'd started publishing books in the 1980s, and I've been helping self-publishers since the 1990s. And I have to say that there is nothing more important to my work as an author or as a blogger than having that email list. And hey, I didn't really realize that until about 2 years ago. So, we all learn this stuff at our own pace. And about 2 years ago, I got clued into the fact that if I wanted to actually be serious about what I was doing, I would start aggressively building an email list. And since I started doing that, it has made all the difference in the world to me, to my business, to my revenue, to my ability to put my ideas in front of people in every single way. It's just been phenomenal. So I would encourage anyone who isn't pursuing this to start thinking about it today. Really, there's nothing, not one thing except improving your writing. There's nothing else that will help you be more successful in publishing than building your own email list. hey, why do we have to rely on Amazon so much? Why do we have to rely on these retailers and distributors? If we could reach out directly to our readers, don't you think that would be a good thing? Yeah, I do. And the way you do that is with an email list. So don't let it wait. Okay, here's a question. Will you be having the sale at a later time? I can't afford to purchase it now. Hey, I get that. The Book Launch Toolkit will be available on our site at bookdesigntemplates.com permanently. It won't be at this reduced price, but it will be there every day. Will we run more promotions? You never know. If this one is successful, then we might do it again. But it's really hard to make predictions about the future. So it's available now. It's at a great price right now. So I can tell you that. Okay, let's see. Yes, well, that's true, Lewis. Even if people don't buy it now, $97 would still be a pretty awesome price. Somebody asked to go over the customized launch plan features. Uh, well, if you have Word 2013 or newer, it's going to allow you to do that little trick with opening up the little triangles and displaying the special plan for your book. If you don't have that, you're just going to print out the entire launch plan, and then you're going to kind of manually just select the ones you want to use. It's not really a big deal either way. It was just a really cool feature that we wanted to put in because it streamlines your launch plan specifically for you. Now, I get it. I was using Word 2003 until pretty recently, so I know what that's about. Who wants to pay for an upgrade? But, we love new software. If it has new capabilities, we want to utilize those. We haven't locked out any part of this program to anyone with an old copy of Word. The whole program is going to run perfectly. You're going to download it. The PDFs, about those, they'll work on anybody's computer. And, so it's just that one function of one piece that you get a special extra benefit if you have new Word software. Okay, replay. All right, so we are going to send out a replay link to this webinar, and the replay link will be going out later today, this evening, and we will post the whole webinar, including most of these questions and answers, so you can replay it, you can stop it, you can pause it, you can take notes, you can noodle about the slides that Kim talked about. She had a lot of content on there. So you will get the replay link later in the day today. Okay, well, it's 2:20. I think that's about it. If I do discover any questions that haven't been answered, we will try to email you directly. And if you have something, how that happens to me, 2 minutes after they turn off the webinar, I think, oh, that's the question I wanted to ask, and I totally forgot. Well, you still can ask us. I put the link in the chat box. It's support@bookdesigntemplates.com, and we will answer every one of your questions. But here's my advice. I would go over to the sales page right now and check it out. You'll see all of the pieces of the toolkit. You'll see all the testimonials in full from people who've actually got their hands on it and tested it out. I started planning this product, and, don't laugh at me, please, but I actually started planning this product in 2011. Okay, so I'm not too fast. It took me a long time to get it going, but it's been a dream of mine for 4 years to be able to offer this to you because I just know how much time and effort and frustration it's going to save you in putting your own book launch together. So hop over there, check it out, see what you think. I think you're going to be amazed, to be honest with you. I want to thank Kim for taking her time out and spending this, doing a great presentation. I think a lot of people were saying, wow, they learned a lot, and that's the whole point of doing these live events, so we can educate authors. And thank you for hanging in for our product launch. We're very excited about it, and I hope you are too. So watch out for the replay link. If you think of a question, send it to support@bookdesigntemplates.com. And it's 2:21, so we're going to end the webinar now. And thanks again for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Joel.